Is it draft day? It's draft day. Welcome in to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. We are live on Thursday, technically morning, I guess, wherever you are right now. By the time a lot of you see this, at least this part, it'll probably be afternoon. But the Bengals, well, they have the 31st pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. We'll talk that. We'll talk a ton about the first round and any other questions you have. My guy, Andrew Fox Miller, is here. Turn on your camera, Andrew, and say hi to the people. There we go.
Everybody.
That's the guy I refer to in videos all the time. That guy.
Yeah.
All right. That's enough.
I'm getting out of here. I'm out of here.
That's
enough
yeah,
of me.
that's enough camera
right,
time out of you.
Right,
get the hell out of here.
I agree.
Punk. Anyways, just kidding. But what I'm not kidding about, and we'll get to your comments. So please chime in, get them in. What I'm not kidding about is the Bengals should take Tyler Linderbaum if he's available. And it's kind of wild to me that there's this much debate about it and back and forth and all this stuff about Linderbaum. Oh, his arms are short. And you talk to anyone that watches his film and it's just like, oh, he's a freak. He's a freak and he can get to the second level and he can get to the three technique and he can get to all these different spots that a lot of centers can't get to. And he doesn't get his tail kicked in pass protection like people are assuming or saying or hearing or whatever the word is. So to me, that should be the pick tonight at 31. That being said, I think they're leaning corner. If Kaiir Elam is there, Andrew Booth Jr. there, those are the two that I think that they have their eye on. So we'll see. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what the Bengals do. Before I get to your comments, make sure you check out all of our videos if you've missed them. We sat down with Tony Pike for 30 minutes, 25 minutes. Joe Goodberry, we chatted with him. We've had a lot of stuff over the past couple of weeks. Zach Taylor's pre-draft news conference, Duke Tobin's, all in one spot right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. But before I get to your comments, clearly that's who I want. I want Tyler Linderbaum. And I'm going to ask you guys, and we'll go back and forth. But Andrew Fox Miller has been a Bengals fan his entire life. Andrew, come back here for a second and let me ask you, because rarely do you get to give your opinion, which maybe that's by design. That being said, who would you want the Bengals to pick tonight at 31 in an ideal world?
I'm obviously the easy route is to say best player available. Who's it going to be? I personally would love a corner. I'm good with O-line. I'd be great with safety. I don't see that working out as well in the first round, but I want corner. I personally would want Andrew Booth Jr., but that's it.
Is that because his name is Andrew?
That's partially the reason, half the reason, in fact. Yeah.
Oh, geez. Oh, Pete. Here's what scares me about Andrew Booth Jr. He's the injuries. I mean, he's had multiple injuries, missed a couple games last year, hasn't done any athletic testing this offseason. The Bengals did bring him in for a top 30 visit, and I think that had as much to do with the medical part as anything. And, if the medical team says, hey, he's good to go, I think you're right. I think a lot of people think he's a first round corner. And so if he's still there, the medicals could cause him to fall, right? Like that's why I keep bringing up Linderbaum. I think there's a decent chance he does fall. He's top 15 player that falls because he's got 31 and an eighth inch arms and he only fits the wide zone running scheme. Oh, wait, what did the Bengals run? Wide zone. Makes a lot of sense. So I think those two guys could be there. And if they are, I would take Linderbaum. I think the Bengals would take Booth and you could be all happy and dance. And I'd be like, really? Andrew Booth Jr. That's who they're going with. Not that it's a bad pick, but if Linderbaum's there, I'm going to think it's a bad pick.
Me personally, as a spectator of the draft in general, I love when the unexpected happens and a player you couldn't possibly fathom falls. Usually the Bengals aren't the recipient of getting the benefit of that, but
yeah,
we're also not at the tail end of the draft very often. So that's the thing I'm looking for.
And so who could that be? To me, George Karlaftis, I don't think he's going to fall, but I think that's who they're like praying to the draft gods today. Like, all right, dear draft gods, please let George Karlaftis fall to 31 because I think they would take him and I think they would do a little dance and I think it would make sense. I think they'd take him over Linderbaum. I think they'd probably take him over Booth. Would they take him over Elam? Probably. And that would be the crazy part. And the reason they would, like, let's say Kaiir Elam's their 20th player in top corner, of that grouping that they think could make it to 31. Well, if Karlaftis is your 12th player, then you take him. And I think that's kind of where the Bengals are at. Corner isn't a must in the first round. And I think that's the beauty. And that's what Philly G Funk points out. A lot of people feel that way. You know what was a must in the first round last year? Penei Sewell, from the outside looking in. This Bengals team doesn't have any – they have to do this at 31 because cornerbacks, there are day 2 corners that I think could come in and fill the role pretty close to what they have or what they would have with the guy that they would get at 31. Let's say Elam is gone and Booth is gone. Who are you getting? Are you getting Gordon? Maybe Gordon's off the board and Booth is there, but you don't like his medicals. Then just wait till day 2. They don't have to. They're not boxed and pigeonholed into it's corner or nothing. If the corners go, someone's going to fall. And if the corners don't go, then someone should be there that fits that role. But to me, the last thing they need to do is just be tunnel vision. I say it all the time, each and every year. And I'm sure we have a lot of new people that haven't heard me say it. You draft players, not positions. And I get it. There's a positional value debate, especially at center or guard, right? If Zion Johnson's there to Boston College, well, I think he would make a lot of sense and would instantly be their left guard of 2022 and beyond. Well, I'm probably taking him over Andrew Booth Jr. And not probably, right? I'm probably taking him over Kaiir Elam. And is it close? It's close. But, man, those type of guys, if they fall, you got to take them. At least I would. Joseph says, I would trade down if all the offensive line guys are gone. And there's a chance they are, right? Like there's a lot of Linderbaum talk. I've talked about him more than any other prospect just because I think he's, in a weird way, the way they can make up for them fumbling the second round last year. That being said, a trade down is pretty likely to me. I mean, on the surface. Okay, let's say Elam is gone and they don't like Linderbaum in round 1. They're thinking early day 2. And Booth they like, but the medicals, the injury stuff. Kyler Gordon they like, but the long speed 4.52, the Washington corner. Roger McCreary they like, but they don't love because of the arm length, even though he's got great ball skills. They may say, all right, so Linderbaum's still here, McCreary's still here, Booth is still here, and a quarterback's going to go 31. There's going to be a couple of receivers in there. We can move down to 37. Or if all the top guys are gone that they have in their bucket of players, as Duke Tobin said last week and called it, I would say tiers, their tier list, then you consider moving down. And I think that's what's going to happen because of the Karlaftis, Linderbaum, Elam, and it's not necessarily this order, Booth, Daxton Hill, Devonte Wyatt, Zion Johnson, and maybe even Kyler Gordon. If those guys are gone, then quarterbacks are going to be there and a team's going to want to move up to get the quarterback that they want, or receiver. Those are the 2 spots, quarterback and receiver, where teams could trade up. Well, why would they trade up for a receiver? You can find receivers anywhere. James, what are you talking about? It's that 5th-year option. That 5th-year option for a receiver now is super valuable. That's why people are talking about T. Higgins, right? The Jamar Chase stuff, he's under contract through 2024. You don't have to talk about that yet. So this idea that it's just quarterback that you move up for. Now, I think it's valuable to move up for a receiver. Wouldn't be shocked at all if that happens. And the other thing that is kind of funny, wait, are these guys in the same room? We aren't in the same room. Look at that. Does it look like we are?
It's probably the shelving throwing them off.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. That's it. I'm out of here.
Okay, we're in the same restream room or same YouTube room, whatever you want to call it. But the other thing, lost my train of thought for a second, but I'll dial it back. What we were talking about, trading down.
I'd stick on that.
The other thing here, the other thing, trading down, Detroit Lions. So they have the 32nd and 34th pick. If they want a quarterback, and you're talking with the Falcons, who I believe have the 40th pick, about trading down, if I'm the Bengals, I would call the Lions and say, look, and maybe the Lions do this anyway, but the Bengals have the 31st pick, the Lions have the 32nd. Can you finagle a pick out of the Lions to move down 1 spot to 32 so they can secure their quarterback so no one else moves up to take that quarterback? That is the dream. Or the receiver, because they do need receiver, and maybe they do that. I doubt they would be as willing to do that because they might have multiple receivers that they like at that range. It's hard to like multiple quarterbacks. I think people are going to be really split and are really split on these quarterbacks. Detroit may have Desmond Ridder as their QB1. The Steelers reportedly have Malik Willis as their QB1. Will Carolina take a quarterback? What about all these different guys? Sam Howell, could he sneak into it? Matt Corral, is he going to be a first-round guy? So I think they're all over the map on these quarterbacks, and you might be able to get something for just moving down one spot, which would be kind of cool. Here's the only thing, Dan the man, as far as trading down goes, that would selfishly frustrate me. And again, this is first world dream job problems. But if they trade down, then that means multiple picks tomorrow outside of the two they have. You're probably talking about a fourth rounder, and they're probably getting another day 3 pick, honestly, depending on how far they go. But, it could be a 6th and a 4th, right? Which means then day 3 is insane. Or it could be an extra 3rd, which means Friday is going to be even more wild. And so that part of it, for me, selfish, I'm like, oh. That being said, from an asset accumulation standpoint, if they could get all of their picks in the 40 to 90 range, and we can extend it 40 to 110 range, I think that's where the meat of the draft is, where you can address offensive line, corner, receiver returner if they want to, safety, defensive line, of course, 3-tech, all of those spots, and you're feeling pretty damn good about the players that could potentially be there and navigating it. So if they could move down to 40, let's say, and add multiple picks, I wouldn't be mad at that because I think that they're going to get a damn good player at 63, but then you get to 95, and that might be it. I think that's where it just drops off a cliff, drafting, at the end of each round. All right. I do think we need to look at safety with the Bates situation, Trey says. And so the guy I would say that is in play at 31, Daxton Hill. And I've been on him all week long. If you've watched me on Locked On, I gave my big board here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk, the 10 players I would like. He was 3rd on it, behind Linderbaum and Karlaftis. And I might like Hill more than Karlaftis. The Bengals don't, but I might, because this dude is just a playmaker, man. He can move to the nickel. He's got size, 6 foot, 190 for the cornerback room. He can run. He tested really well. He's this playmaking safety that you can move all over and is a versatile chess piece. And I actually think he could play with Jesse Bates and play at a high level. So you think about what would Daxton Hill be as a rookie for the Bengals? He'd play some nickel, right? Because you would need a backup nickel. And you could move him around in 3 safety sets. And, is that enough? Is 300 snaps enough? Is 350 enough? Well, if there's not an injury, that's probably what you're looking at. So that's the downside. On the flip side, if you re-sign Jesse Bates and you had Daxton Hill, you could be talking about the best safety tandem in the league. And Von Bell's in the final year of his contract as well. It would give you some Bates insurance if you lost him, but it wouldn't rule out the idea of retaining your top safety in Bates. And I think that's the way to do it. Now, there are other guys that fit that, but man, Daxton Hill's versatility is a lot of fun and is someone that I would be down to take.
I had to throw this one up there. If you're a Cincinnati sports fan, this has come up with friends. I've seen conversation on Reddit and things like that about this.
Yeah, I have bad news. Desmond Ridder to the Steelers. I actually think it happens. If I had to make, I'm not kidding.
Like, I know you're not kidding. I'm just taking in the
I think
idea
it makes perfect sense, right? So you had this guy in Mitch Trubisky who could start, but he's certainly not your quarterback of the future. Get the hell out of here. No one's buying that. You got this mature pocket passer, and that's what Ridder was, that has the ability to run and ran a 4.6, 8, I think it was. Off the top of my head, I haven't done a ton of, stuff on the quarterbacks in a while, but ran really well, has enough arm. I don't think Malik Willis makes that to him. And you're talking about a mature kid who's gotten better each and every year. And if he goes to Pittsburgh, this is the good news for Desmond Ridder. I think he's going to have the most success there because it's a soft landing spot, the stable situation, nice defense, great running back, some weapons, and Pat Freiermuth and Deontay Johnson at receiver, could be worse. So I don't know. I think it's a good fit for Ridder, a good fit for the Steelers. That being said, I wouldn't be mad if he went to the Saints at like 16 or 17 or Detroit. I actually think Detroit, Atlanta, those are two other. I know they're not winning franchises, but they could be decent landing spots. You're talking about domes, a guy in Ritter who certainly I think could play at a high level in a dome situation where he can move around, use that athleticism to the max.
Okay.
Heartbreaking? Would you be heartbroken?
Listen, I'll keep this brief because I'm not going to put up I'm not going to get a take on Ritter to the forefront here. Put it this way, as a huge Bearcats fan, it would be heartbreaking to see him go to the Steelers as a Bearcats fan. As a Bengals fan, I'm fine with it. Let's just leave it at that.
Wow, that's a shot at Ritter. That's what that is.
That's it. I'm off.
That's a shot at
We'll move on to the
Ritter.
next question.
You know who I want coming to the division is Malik Willis, because Malik Willis is that freaky, athletic man. If he puts it all together, he's scary. And now you're looking at a quarterback, a division where you're talking about athletic freaks all over the field, right? Where you got the AFC North, it's Deshaun Watson, it's Malik Willis, it's Lamar Jackson. Like, that's kind of scary in a way. And that means you got to invest in these fast, quick players that can keep up.
I'm pulling one here.
Yeah, you're pulling one? Okay, I was about to hit one because I saw one that I like.
Oh, go ahead.
Hit it. Okay. All right, yeah. There's been a lot of this, and I've gotten a lot of this Jesse Bates trade stuff. I don't think Jesse Bates would ask for a trade, but it would complicate the situation. It would complicate the situation a little bit more. And I think Bates's camp needs to come back down to reality a little bit. And this is me talking, not me reporting anything or being the Bengals mouthpiece or anything like that. But if he wants to be the third highest paid safety in the NFL, even with how good he was in the playoffs, was he the third best safety in the league last year? No. And that's the part of it. Like, there are a lot of guys I look at in this safety class. Are they Jesse Bates? No. Could they help fill that void? Yeah. And so if you're the Bengals and you're looking at where you want to throw your assets and allocate your funds, you want Jesse Bates at $15 million per. Do you want him at 20 or 18? And I don't know where he's at. It could be a difference in guaranteed money. As far as trading him, so unprecedented for the Bengals. I wouldn't let him walk next offseason. I get keeping him now, though. And I would be surprised if they traded him. But I wouldn't let him walk next offseason. I would tag him again and then move him if they did. And that would be unprecedented for them, too. And who knows? Maybe if he plays great, they just tag him anyways, and that's that. But no, I don't think safety's really in play at 31, barring Hill being the only guy there. They're unable to trade down, and then they take him, right? And so I could see that, and I would like it because I think Daxton Hill's a baller, but I don't think that would trigger, a time to trade Jesse Bates. Now, would his camp come out with that? I don't know, man. It's tough for me to envision Jesse Bates asking for a trade, but you never know. Make sure you get your questions in, man. What else we got, Andrew? We got another one here. All right. Is there any players that you especially don't want the Bengals to draft at 31 or even in the second, third round? Yeah, I'm not big on Andrew Booth Jr. I think the injuries, the fact that he hasn't tested, it's just, what if he ran a 4.55? I don't think he would have. Maybe high 4.4s. But if he ran a 4.55, we wouldn't even be talking about it, right? Kyler Gordon, 4.52, and everyone's scared of taking him potentially in round one. To me, and this could be because they drafted Dre Kirkpatrick, who I wasn't a fan of taking in the first round, 17th overall. Darqueze Dennard, I believe it was 24th overall. I might have the exact pick wrong. And then William Jackson the third, when they really didn't want Jackson that round. That was 24th overall. They wanted a Will Fuller out of Notre Dame at the time. They wanted speed at receiver. And I looked at, you look back at those guys and 0 Pro Bowls, and so Jonathan Joseph worked out, right? Leon Hall worked out, but that was 15 plus years ago. And to me, I look at Andrew Booth Jr. It's like, is he the next dude or is he just a guy? And, the Bengals might think he's the next dude. I think Tyler Linderbaum's the next dude. I think George Karlaftis is the next dude. Zion Johnson is the next dude. Kaiir Elam could be. I like Elam better than Booth. But I don't think he's going to be there. And so that's the tough part. Who's still there? And in what trade offers do they have? Did the medical team clear Booth? That's all of it. So that's one guy. But no, I mean, there aren't guys that are like, oh my God, run for the hills. Part of that is medically, I don't think there are a ton of guys that have like huge red flags. David Ojabo would be one. I would maybe take him in round 2. I'm not taking him at 31. Daniel Jeremiah did that. Happy draft day to you, King. Appreciate you, man. Hopefully you're wearing your mask. It's a WWE, WWF reference. Hopefully you guys understood that. Anyways, I wouldn't take Ojabo. Daniel Jeremiah had them taking him at 31 overall. You want to see me give them a bad grade? Take a guy who's not going to play as a rookie. And I get it, top 10 talent, and they could use edge and all that stuff. Linderbaum was still on the board. I think Gordon was still on the board in this mock. Like there was a couple guys that it's like, oh, you're really doing that? Just trade down if that's the plan. And I don't think it is. There's also a rumor about Trey McBride potentially being in play at 31. No, thank you. And I love skill players. I love adding talent and weapons for Joe Burrow to throw to. I'm also not reaching for a tight end in this class when I think other guys could be more impactful. And I think someone would be there. So, this is good. Look at that. How urgent of a need is tight end.
I was trying to compliment what you were already saying, but continue.
Well, no, I mean, it's a good, if there was a Tyler Eifert, if there was an OJ Howard as a prospect, if there was, someone like that, the kid a few years ago that the Lions drafted, I'm forgetting his name, starts with an H. If there was a top tight end like that, where it's like, oh, this guy could work really well with Joe Burrow long-term and develop into a stud. Well, that's great because I think Burrow loves throwing to the tight end position. I don't know if McBride's that. Now, I think he's good. I'm not against drafting him, but if the Bengals move down to like 45 or 42, let's say they trade down with the Colts and the Colts decide to move up and get whoever they want, then that makes some sense to me. But they have Hayden Hurst. The tight end class next year could be better, or at least better at the top. And you could always bring in a free agent. And so that's the part. I'm just like, I'm okay with it. Now, that being said, if McBride fell to 63, I think it would be a great pick. If they like Greg Dulcich out of UCLA, I like that a lot. I think he would thrive with Joe Burrow. But then there's a drop-off. So I think if we don't see a tight end taken rounds, one, it shouldn't happen. Rounds 2, or if they traded down in 2 to early round 3, if it doesn't happen there, unless Dulcich fell, I would think it would be late day 3, like round 5, round 6, because there's a drop-off after those top guys, or you might as well just wait till, round 5-ish or so.
We have a Thad Moss question. We got to get it out there. We always get one.
What are you doing to me? It's draft day.
I'm out of here. See ya.
It's draft day. Thad Moss. I mean, look, you're talking about a guy who's dealt with a ton of injuries now. Didn't test great athletically. And I think they were going to give him a shot last year, and then he got injured in warm-up. So we'll see. Well, we'll see with Thad Moss, but he's certainly not. He was injured for most of last year. But I don't think he's a guy you're like, oh, they're set at tight end because they have Thad Moss. Will he get time? There's a chance, and he's certainly going to have to earn it, but he's going to have to stay healthy first. Trey asks, thoughts with linebacker with Pratt up next year, Wilson and Akeem Davis-Gaither up the following year? Just wait till next year's draft. No, I mean, I think that they could take a linebacker. I don't think it's necessarily someone they're going to take at 31. Mid-rounds, and there are guys that they could address. That being said, maybe they just plan on investing in Jermaine Pratt, or they want to see Akeem Davis-Gaither, who's still young. I mean, he just turned 24, I believe, or is going into – he was 22 when he came into as a rookie. So young, coming off that injury. I like Akeem Davis-Gaither, and I think he could make an impact. I like Marcus Bailey, and I like Logan Wilson. I think they got it right with those three. And so maybe Akeem Davis-Gaither takes a step this year. Maybe they just decide to extend Jermaine Pratt this offseason. But I don't think it's a huge need. That being said, could they take a linebacker in the middle rounds? Yeah, wouldn't shock me at all. And, certainly late on day 3, anything's in play. You go best player available. So that's where I think they're at on linebacker. Could it work at 31 if the kid out of Utah State falls, if Quay Walker, if they have a high grade on him? I guess. I just don't think that that's their preference. Yeah, I mean, it could be round 4. It could be round 2. If the linebacker's there that they're like, man, we have a top 25 grade on him and he's there at 63. That's the part about this draft that's so interesting. It's not just quarterbacks. I think that a lot of teams have split evaluations and have big differences in how they've evaluated this class and how we view it. There are going to be guys that are there in round 4 and 5. You're like, what? That guy was supposed to be a second round pick or a third round pick. Marcus Jones out of Houston. I think he could fall. Could Roger McCreary fall? Maybe. He could also go top 30. And I think that would be a surprise. What if Roger McCreary went ahead of Andrew Booth Jr.? A lot of people are like, oh my God, I would not be shocked. If Kyler Gordon went for Andrew Booth Jr., wouldn't be shocked. But I think that would shock a lot of draft consensus people. If Trey McBride went, in the top 32, that would be surprising, but he's getting a little smoke there too. So it's one of those things.
I'm throwing this up just because I feel like we could maybe address the backfield a bit. There is a little chatter about what they're going to do.
Can Chris Evans get some run, man? Damn it. No, I mean, I don't think P. Ryan, has a bunch of trade value, but and he's on a cheap contract for one more year, good on special teams. So I think he's going to be in the fold. I'd be surprised if they addressed running back. If they did late day 3, much like last year, they like running backs in the 6th round, could see that. They have 2 7th round picks, could see that. They've met with some guys, but it's going to be the Joe Mixon show. And it was the Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine show in the playoffs. I want it to be this year the Joe Mixon, Chris Evans show. And maybe a rookie emerges or something like that, but I think Evans has a ton of talent. And that's where you take the talent, right? Guys who test really well or super athletic. Saw him day 1 of rookie minicamp last year. I'm like, oh, Chris Evans is different. And so I think he could take a big step forward in year 2. Matareza. A lot of people want the punter. When do you want him? Because you might have to take him at the end of round 4. I'm not taking him there. Sorry. I'm just not. End of round 5, maybe, certainly end of round 6 in either 7th round pick. I don't think he'll be there then. So you may have to take him end of round 4, essentially a round ahead of where you're thinking he could go, because he probably won't be there at the end of round 5. I like the idea of getting this punter with a booming leg that Darren Simmons can work with and work on the fundamentals and everything like that, because he's got the physical traits. That being said, there's like 3 to 4 punters in this class that you could look at. Probably one of them goes undrafted, maybe 2. You could sign one of them as an undrafted free agent or use a 7th round pick on one of them and have that person compete with Drew Chrisman. Or maybe they bring back Kevin Huber. I don't know. I would say that Kevin Huber wasn't his best last year, and he's getting up there in age, so you wonder how much longer he has. I think he wants to keep playing for what it's worth. Will he survive this draft class, including the undrafted free agents? That's the part that's interesting. But no, I get it. With the Evan McPherson love last year, it worked out well. You could have this amazing special teams unit, much like the Ravens have, for the next decade. Understand it. And so we'll see if they go that route.
I'll keep this one brief. Just channel related. I don't know why there wasn't a notification for some people. I'm seeing a few comments, but I do know that if you follow James on social media, we're promoting it out there. I was retweeting and sending some things out there. So just a little plug there. That's all.
Yeah. Sorry you weren't notified, but get your question in, Brian. It's all right. Plenty of time. It's draft day. Take a breath, baby. Let's go. It's only noon. We're good. 8 hours away from the draft and 11 and a half hours away from when the Bengals are on the clock. Got plenty of time. Malik reported that the Bengals are very high on Devonte Wyatt. Yeah, I would agree. I would say that Devonte Wyatt fills an instant need right at the 3-tech spot. 24 years old, does have some off the field stuff that I'll let you guys dive into there. No, I mean, if he's there, I think they would seriously consider taking him. I think, and again, this is me, but the past couple of years I've been pretty good at this, so I'm going to just throw it out there, especially. Tyler Linderbaum, to me, is a better prospect than Devonte Wyatt. Say what you want. One was productive, one wasn't. One was great on film, one flashed. One's 24, one isn't. And, so Devonte Wyatt's 24. Now, what do I think the Bengals think? I think Wyatt's pretty high on their board. And, I had Wyatt 4th on mine, like of potential Bengals, realistic picks: Linderbaum, Karlaftis, Hill, Wyatt, and then Johnson. I might even put Johnson ahead of Wyatt, to be honest with you. Kaiir Elam maybe too. So the more you gather there, I mean, he's just older, not a ton of production. So we'll see. Brian, we talk about Linderbaum yet? Draft him. Yeah, yes, draft him. I mean, last year there were red flags with Jamar Chase. Short arms were one of them, by the way. Hadn't played in a year, only 1 year in college of crazy production. You could say all of these things. Worked out fine. You know why? Because he was an athletic freak that dominated at a young age. I look at Linderbaum, athletic freak. Yeah, has short arms, isn't the biggest guy. I think he's going to be the outlier where we look up. He might fall to round 2. And I think the NFL is stupid. I think these evaluators overthink it half the time, and they did with Creed Humphrey last year. Creed Humphrey fell to the third round. He's arguably the best center in the NFL. How in the hell did he fall past the Bengals at 46? They traded down. It would have been an A++++ draft if they had taken Creed Humphrey last year instead of Jackson Carman. And I could totally see Tyler Linderbaum, who graded just as well, if not higher, depending on what metric you're using, whether it's PFF or these other sites, higher than Creed Humphrey. Does he have short arms? Yeah. Is he this super awesome former wrestler that just has great footwork and athleticism that could honestly, and Chris Sims said this, but this has always been my vision, completely transform your offense because you have elite receivers, you have an elite quarterback, you have an elite running back, and now you would have this guy who could get to the second level and make your run game work and function at a much higher level. Yeah. And so, I think it makes a ton of sense. So I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but yeah, Tyler Linderbaum is certainly someone that I would consider. And not consider, I would run to the podium if he's there, regardless of who else is there, unless it's like, a top 8 guy. If Sauce Gardner's there, oh, okay, well, he's not going to be there. Derek Stingley's there. Okay, well, he's not going to be there. He's going third, I think, to the Texans. Matt asks, how high of a need is edge rusher in this draft? I think it is in need. The good news is it's deep. And so if they don't get one, if George Karlaftis isn't there, if they say, nah, we're not going to take Arnold Ebiketie out of Penn State, and they could. All right. Hopefully that helps a little. But no, I think they could still land a quality edge rusher rounds 3 to 4. And someone that could give them meaningful snaps right away. And that's all you can ask for because you have Trey Hendrickson. You have Joseph Osai coming off of injury, and I think he'll contribute. But you don't want to just bank on that. Obviously, Sam Hubbard as well. So if you could add one more, it would be ideal. Probably need to draft one. If you want him to make an impact early, draft one in the middle rounds. You have Wyatt Hubert coming off of injury as well. Maybe he ends up contributing, but yeah, I think, with Cam Sample, Joseph Osai, if you had another young edge rusher, you feel pretty good about that unit as a whole. So I think it could happen.
Just a little shout out.
Yeah. As I was coughing here. Any idea how difficult it was? Yeah. I'm sure you were because it wasn't the event. Obviously it is now. I still remember the days, half of our viewers probably don't, when it was all on one day and it was just Sunday and it just went and went and went. You remember that, Andrew? I mean, and before that it was Saturday, I believe. There was draft Saturday.
In the late 80s, I was probably watching DuckTales and
I don't remember the late 80s either. But I remember when it was all on one day, and I can't imagine that, right? Especially now the spectacle that it is, and part of it is because they make it a weekend event. Really a 4-day event.
My father-in-law did fantasy football in the 80s, and just hearing that is exhausting. He would actually have to go watch the news so that they could record all the touchdowns that they would have, so they could and read paper, whatever they could do. So
yeah, it'd be paper, box scores, and no, thank you. I'll refresh my app 3 seconds after a score and wonder why the hell it's not up. What? Come on now, Jamar just scored. You give me my fantasy points.
I saw a few
Uh,
quarterback related questions, so I feel like we could just address it.
They could draft a quarterback. It would be late. Ultimately, I don't think they will. You don't rule it out because if there's a guy they have a 4th round grade on and he's there in round 7, why not? Right. In this, I guess this is the one benefit. I'll say this: they've evaluated all of them, from Desmond Ridder to Kenny Pickett to Malik Willis. Obviously, they're not going to be in line for any of those guys, but it couldn't hurt. I would just say this idea that, and a few people have thrown it out there, but I don't think they're going to take a quarterback in the 3rd round or 4th round with the idea of developing that guy and moving him in a couple years or something like that. Like, I don't think that's it. I think it would be strictly he's the top player on our board and we're getting him in round 6 type of situation. But yeah, could they? Absolutely they could. I think that's on the table. I think a lot of things late in the draft are on the table.
By the way, if it is Scotch, my guy's holding out on me over there.
No,
like, I don't know why you
no,
wouldn't be here
Scotch.
if that's the case.
I'm gonna be up.
It's gonna be a late night. We should
noon.
talk about that.
Yeah, it's noon. Like, stay tuned here.
Yeah.
In allbengals.com, and we'll record on Locked On Bengals as well. But after the pick happens, all hell is going to break loose. So they're going to make the pick around 11:30. That's when the show really starts. So I should probably nap. I'm not going to. I should probably nap. I think it's going to be a late night. I was telling Andrew, like, if the draft, especially as I've thought about it all week, if the draft, because I'll be at Paul Brown Stadium, if the draft tomorrow started at like noon, I would just sleep down there. I'd pull a Chad Johnson. I would stay at Paul Brown Stadium. I would talk to the PR staff. Maybe I would bring my Nintendo Switch for a little entertainment if I had time. Wouldn't. But yeah, I was like, man, it's tomorrow evening. I'm not gonna stay there just to be there and then come home, but odds are I'm gonna be throwing up content and doing different things till late, or early, I guess, Friday morning. I would say 2 to 3 a.m. is when we'll shut it down for a few hours, and then we'll be up when you're up as well. So that's why you come here to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. So we're going to deliver. There's plans. So this isn't Red Bull. This is water right now. Maybe I'll need a Red Bull at some point, but we'll make it work. The next 3 days are going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll be up tonight as it goes down with this draft. James is going to be feeding things over to me. I'll be posting it on this channel. So
yep.
Be sure to have notifications on if you want to be alerted of these things. We'll definitely do everything we can to get some coverage your way.
And there is a limit on how many notifications we can use in a 24-hour period.
For those that don't know, 24 hours, we get 3 notifications that we can send out to you, which is fine because I don't want to annoy people with a million notifications on crazy days like this. But know that if you're getting a notification, we were very strategic. We want you to see this one. And then we may have other videos out there that you weren't alerted of.
Yeah, we will. Right. So Zach Taylor reacting to James being right and picking Tyler Linderbaum. I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be awesome, right? We probably won't alert that, but we'll post it for you. So you'll have that. You'll get the position or the coordinator, whether it's Lou Anarumo, probably Lou, or Brian Callahan, depending on where they go, offense, defense. But we might not use those as alerts because in that 24 hours, we're going to have to cover what they could do in rounds 2 and 3 and alert you with that, along with reacting to what they do at 31. So just a heads up of how it'll work over the next couple of days.
Andrew, we talked about doing a stream in real time, kind of like a sort of war room style where we just have like some feed constantly going. James is going to be at the stadium though. It's not as simple. Like he's not going to have a setup around him like he does right now at his home. Yeah. I considered if I had anything to contribute running something in real time during the draft where if James is going to be calling me or whatever, I could actually run audio or do something. I don't know that we're quite there yet, but believe me, we've definitely thought about running some real-time streams more often than we have.
Yeah, that would be Andrew has to be on the stream throughout the draft, and I'll pop in when I can.
You want that in very small doses,
like this,
like this stream.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. So that's where I'm at with that. But yeah, we'll have plenty of content for you, and it'll be instant reaction in good, bad, and different. I mean, if they trade down and they only get a 5th round pick and they're moving down 8 spots, and I don't think they would do that, but I'm probably not going to like that trade down. It's just, it is what it is. So we'll see what they get, who they get, what happens. Maybe they move up. I doubt it, but maybe they do. And if so, we'll be with you every step of the way. That would mean for an earlier night. So maybe moving up is the way to go, Andrew. Maybe that's what should happen. They should move all the way up to like, I don't know, 16.
I'm for it. I'm for it. I'm definitely for it.
I'm
We'll get to some. We'll get to some actual questions here. We got a few more, but I just want to address. I've never seen you drink gin, James. I don't know.
I've had a little gin and tonic here and there, but no, that's not like my go-to by any stretch. Could I drink it? Yeah, but I can drink anything. I mean, hey, Yash, if you're buying, I'll drink it. So there you go.
Let's see. I'm going to throw up another question. I'm going to get off screen here.
You're good. Look at
a lot of chatter between each other. I like it. A little community going on here.
Yeah. Well, it's fun, man. It's a fun time. It's the best time of year, man, because there's so many opinions. There's so many different takes and thoughts, and that's the fun part, man. That's
like people like having me. That's I'll frame it. I'm gonna frame that. I'll put it right here by my Eddie Van Halen guitar and everything like that.
Oh. It makes one of us. We like having you. No, I'm just kidding.
There's a lot of individual names here. I don't know if
I'll just pick
like,
hey,
what about this player? What about that?
Yeah, Bo Melton, perfect 5th round pick. DE, I think so. I don't think he's going to be there in the 5th round, and that's the part. I mean, to me, could he be off the board at 95? Wouldn't shock me. Certainly at 136 in the 4th round. I think that if he makes it there, the sweet spot, the hard part with these guys, man, I think Melton is like the 112th player, and so that's probably where he's going to go. In that range. Well, he doesn't make it to you at 136. You feel like you're reaching a little bit at 95. And that's the awkward part of where the Bengals are in this draft, because it's like that with a lot of players. Like even at 31, you're like, okay, well, Linderbaum makes sense, even though I think they think it would be a little bit of a reach there. Trey McBride doesn't make sense. Devonte Wyatt could make sense. Daxton Hill could make sense. Logan Hall doesn't make sense. Kyler Gordon doesn't make sense because, he's the 40th player, not the 31st. And so the Bengals might be in a position where they're like, all right, let's just take a guy that we think is going to be solid. And, maybe has the upside, but is going to be solid. And if they hit a double, not a home run, hit a double with this 1st round pick, I think that's good enough. And so we'll see who they take. But that might have to be their mindset, especially early, until these boards change around. Now, if Karlaftis is there, A+. If Linderbaum is there, for me, that's an A+. Again, I don't think that's for them. But Bo Melton, yeah, I think they'd have to probably take him in round 3, or if they traded down with that extra pick, depending on how far they move down.
I got one. Okay. There's a couple of more trading conversations.
Would you trade the 31st this year and a late 1st round next year for a top 5 pick this year? How do you know it's a late 1st? That's the thing, right? It feels like they're going to go to the playoffs again and make a run. But are you willing to trade? What if that ended up being the 12th pick in next year's draft? So 31 and 12 for a top 5, it still might be good value, and it is. It would also cost more to get up to top 5. Would I do that for one of these freakish corners? Or one of these edge rushers, or maybe they go tackle, and I don't think they would, but offensive tackle. Yeah. I mean, if you could get, I don't know, Kayvon Thibodeau, and you're getting him and you think he's just this freak that's going to transform your pass rush, then maybe. If you're getting Sauce Gardner, I know that's what people wanted me to go, maybe you do it. I don't think they would be able to move up that far with just one 1st rounder plus the 31st pick. I don't think it's enough. If we got the 12th pick next year, anything could happen though. And I don't mean necessarily that. It could be a bunch of different things. So, don't forget to click the thumbs up button, gents. It helps.
It's visual. I'm just throwing that out there. You don't need that.
Hit that. Hit that thumbs up.
This isn't audible. James got to read everything I throw up here.
I got to read everything. Yeah. Watch what you throw up then.
Quick shout out. I wanted to throw this up here is now if I can find it. It is, here it is. I threw up a comment earlier, but Tigers Talk is on here. I don't know if is Ube on here. I don't know who's making these.
Jess, shout out. Appreciate you. All right. Yep. Maybe it's Wit. I know. Who knows? Whoever it is. Shout out to Tigers Talk. Real quick. This is one. Oh. And it's not your fault, Doug. But this idea that Tyler Linderbaum and Billy Price are in the same universe, world, stratosphere, planet, room, level, building, city, state. You get the point. And I could keep going. Country, territory, region as prospects is asinine. They're not even close. It is like comparing, oh my God. I mean, Michael Jordan to the shooting guard you never heard of. And that's no knock on Billy Price, but he never tested, had short arms, didn't have the film grade, even close to what Linderbaum had. Linderbaum, yeah, he has short arms. He also tested like a freak, right? Like Jason Kelsey type, okay? And the film backs it up. And he tested like a freak and the film backs it up. So completely different. I think Linderbaum is a freak, much like Jamar Chase. It's just the NFL overthinks center. And I keep coming back to it. Creed Humphrey, man. Letting Creed Humphrey fall to round 3 last year to the Chiefs. What a joke. And that's what I think could happen with Linderbaum. Not that he'll fall to round 3. He could certainly fall to round 2. There's no way. Let's see here. This is just ridiculous. Linder bust. Yeah. You were the guy who booed the Jamar Chase pick last year. And so there were people that did that at sports bars and stuff. Look, when there's freakish talents, you take them. If they took Linderbaum, their offense would probably be like, it would give it that next boost. Probably be the best offense in the NFL in 2022. Linder bust that. Okay.
Let's do the, I like, was it this one here?
Look at this.
Oh, you got one.
Yeah, it's funny, DE, because, and he says, after reviewing the safeties with my eyes, I'm totally with you on drafting Daxton Hill. When I first really started pushing Daxton Hill, because I realized, 1, NFL team's pretty damn high on him. 2, watched him. 3, you do all the research and stuff. And I was later on it this year than I've been in past years. So really up until earlier this week, I was still iffy on Daxton Hill. And then you get everything done and you look and you're like, oh, yeah, man. He would be a freak. And people are like, safety. And again, I don't think it's the Bengals' preference. I do think he's on their board, and I think he's in the running for that 31st pick. If they got Daxton Hill, I'm not going to argue that pick at all. And I would have him ahead of Andrew Booth. I would have him ahead of Kaiir Elam. Not that the Bengals would. I think the Bengals would at least have Elam ahead of him. I would have him ahead of Kyler Gordon. And that's me. Linderbaum is ahead of him for those that are wondering. But yeah, Daxton Hill would be a good pick. Linderbaum, because he's the bomb. Dad joke 101. I get it. Maybe you're saying he's going to be a bomb, but no, I don't think so. This is an interesting one. Zion McCollum is the freakiest cornerback. Check out his relative athletic score. He is. And it's the kid out of Sam Houston State. Is he in the running at pick 95? Do you take him over, say, a Kobe Bryant who's got a ton of reps, has been targeted and challenged a ton because he was playing on the opposite side of Sauce Gardner? That's the dilemma. I would say for the Bengals, if you want a corner that's going to be able to contribute and successfully back up Eli Apple, and I think that's what all these guys would do. I think Andrew Booth would be Eli Apple's backup week 1. I think the same thing for Kaiir Elam. I think most of them, Kyler Gordon, just based on history, you look at it, and I think Eli Apple's like, dude, I'm a first rounder too. I'm going to show him, and he's going to play sort of like he did last year, where he might be a little inconsistent, but plays at a high level. But yeah, do you take Zion McCollum in round 3 if you haven't taken a corner yet? Maybe. I'll say this: you better get one in the first 3 rounds because there is a pretty big drop off after that. Linderbaum or Zion? I like both. I think Linderbaum's more likely to be there. Linderbaum versus Sewell, who projected better at this point in their respective drafts one day before? Well, Sewell was, because he played the position, he played tackle. And so that's part of it. But I think Linderbaum, I'll say that. I think Linderbaum is going to be a better center and a higher ranked center among NFL centers than Penei Sewell is as a tackle, say 2 years from now. Sewell might be 5th. I think Linderbaum's 2nd. or first. And so that's part of it. But there's positional value differences there as well. Don't need Zion if you trust Carmen and Jonah. Well, I think they trust Jonah. Why would you trust Carmen? What has he shown you? So that's part of it. How low do you think the chances are that Booth goes in the middle of the first round? I think 50-50 probably. I think there's a good chance he falls to 31 because of the medicals, because he didn't test. So Andrew Booth could certainly be there. Do you think the Bengals need to be more aggressive with signing undrafted free agents? No, I don't think so. I think they're pretty good. I think they're pretty good there. And we're getting a little spam, Andrew. I don't know if you see that.
Yeah, you're still seeing it in Restream. I got rid of it. I originally had this as subscribers only, but I think the Restream set it up differently. So,
gotcha. That's all right. It's no big deal. All right,
but make sure you subscribe because we will do that in the future.
You see any other questions here? I like when you put them up. It makes it easier because that way I'm not looking down and reading.
Sure. Yeah, I know you were kind of on a roll. I was letting you go with it, and then we had an attack here. So, let's see here. We did it. I'm going to go back to this only because we talked about it earlier, but let me pull it back up. We got a lot of questions here. I know we talked about Bates.
Yeah.
Is there a scenario where, I know we've talked about it in a video in the past, but is there a scenario where
trading Bates saves cap and allows re-signing players at high end first round picks this year? I don't think the Bengals are going to trade Jesse Bates. I think they still want to get a long-term deal done with him. He's young. He's a high-end player. That being said, you could make the argument for trading him, but my argument would be after this year. They're a contender right now. And so if you think a year from now, if you're no longer, or you feel like it's unlikely that you're going to get a deal done with him, fine. Put the franchise tag, or you can't get a deal done with him, or you haven't gotten a deal done with him. Place in the tag on him again and move him. One of these teams will want him, and you're able to get something for him that isn't a third-round compensatory pick, which if they're active in free agency, they're not going to get anyway. So, yeah, that's where I'm at right there. Tyler Shelvin could have a role. I mean, he's kind of like the mid-round Jackson Carmen, where I think he's got to earn the trust of his teammates, his peers, his coaches, and go from there. But that's it's one of those things. Or Shelvin, yeah, maybe, but
I did not miss this, Yash. I saw it. It's just we can only have so many comments about James' drinking habits.
Yeah, my God. This is a good one. For all the newcomers to Houday Nation, what would be the Bengals' worst case scenario in rounds 1 to 2 of the draft? Worst case. So this is a pretty bad worst case scenario, right? So I think if they took like Trey McBride, 31, and then reached on a corner, let's say Zion McCollum at 63, because they're all gone. Maybe Cam Taylor-Britt's gone at 31 or gone before 63. I like Cam Taylor-Britt in round 2, by the way, if they need a corner in round 2. So that might be it. That might be one of them. The other one would be like Trey McBride, and I don't think this is going to happen, but like something unforeseen, like Trey McBride and then a running back, or a running back at 31. I don't think it's in play, even a little, but that would be like the worst case scenarios. If, most of the realistic ones, if they get Andrew Booth Jr. and then Josh Paschal out of Kentucky, if that's your 1-2, you feel pretty good about it. If they get Tyler Linderbaum and whoever you want to say in round 2, maybe it's Cam Taylor-Britt at cornerback, I think that's an A+. So there's a lot of ways to do that. If they get, Kaiir Elam, and then let's say it's a Josh Paschal, or the kid out of, I'm trying to think, DeMarvin Leal in round 2, you could certainly see that happening where it's like, oh, well, that's great. I think Logan Hall is going to be gone. But that's one of them where it's like, there aren't many worst cases that I foresee unless they just reach and you don't want to reach. That's the Billy Price lean. All right. Guess what Tyler Linderbaum doesn't do? He doesn't lean like Billy Price did, which is why he doesn't get caught. So those are a couple of the worst case scenarios. Unsure with draft prospects, but anyone we should look at to go behind Von Bell. I thought his contract was up after this year. Yeah, and I think they will. I think they'll draft a safety. They've brought in some mid-round, late-round safeties. And so, no, I think they will. I think they'll look at, these high-end athletic guys. And if they don't, for some reason, have one at the top of their board early in the draft, and I don't think that's the plan, but it could happen, then I think they'll take one on day 3 and address that spot and get someone that they can develop behind Von Bell, who's still 28. They could extend him for a couple of years. I don't think that's a problem. And I don't think he'd be that expensive. And maybe that's what they do with the uncertainty with Bates. They say, all right, well, let's lock in Bell. Let's draft a safety and see where we go. I don't think they'd pay Bell crazy money that would impact Bates' future, but they could keep him around past 2022 for sure.
We've taken a few more questions. I'll probably wrap this in about 3 minutes here. So
yeah. So get your questions in quick. I know someone mentioned Alec Pierce. I like Alec Pierce. I think he would fit. I think he's a really good high-end special teams player, which is what you need out of the 4th receiver spot. But athletic freak, jump ball wins in contested catch situations. It's just a matter if he's there at 63, and I don't know if he will be. If he's there at 63, will they be willing to pull the trigger there? To me, I think that they're going to be more likely to wait on a receiver until 95. And that is the argument for trading down. Because if you can if you knew you had, let's say, pick 110 plus pick 38 is your first pick, then you're more likely to address wide receiver at 63, because then you have 95 and 110 and you can address these other potential needs. If not, it makes it much harder to get the 3 tech that you want, to get all of these different spots if you're taking a guy like Pierce at that spot.
How about this, James? Everyone in the comments right now. Oh, go ahead.
No, I didn't do anything.
Oh, I didn't hit that.
Everyone.
All right. So in the comments right now, I'm seeing a lot of names being thrown out there at this point. It's getting a little wild. Mm-hmm. Send out a pick 31. Who are the Bengals taking at 31? Send your conclusive thought on this right now. Give me a name. I'll flash them up as we're talking.
Okay. You want me to give mine?
Yeah.
I think they would take Kaiir Elam if he's there. I don't think he's going to be there, right? So I'll cross him off. I think they would take Devonte Wyatt if he was there. I don't think he's going to be there. So let's cross him off. I'm higher on Tyler Linderbaum than most, or than they are, I think. But I do think he's in the running. Andrew Booth Jr. with his medicals, but good tape. I think he's in the running. I wonder, though, with those medicals, and that's what holds this up. And it's the one piece, the major piece that you can't, obviously we can't do a ton of character stuff outside looking in, but the medical stuff is really hard to predict. And so if I had to say, again, Elam, Wyatt, both gone. Wouldn't be shocked at all if it's Kyler Gordon. And if they stay put at 31, I think Kyler Gordon's in that mix. And I do think Tyler Linderbaum would be in that mix. Now, if Elam's there, I think they do a little jig and take him. If Karlaftis is there, same thing with Devonte Wyatt. I think they dance and take him. But ultimately, I think they would default to cornerback if all these guys are in the same bucket and they can't trade down. And so you asked me 31. So if Logan Hall's there, Kyler Gordon's there, Tyler Linderbaum is there, they're probably like, okay, let's go with the corner and move on. And it's one of those things. So that's how I feel. That's kind of my ranking. I would take Linderbaum. And then, after that, I would probably take Gordon. And, if you can't move down. And this is all assuming Zion Johnson isn't there. But yeah. So I guess long answer short, Kyler Gordon, because I think that Kaiir Elam and Devonte Wyatt, George Karlaftis are going to be gone. Maybe they do take Daxton Hill, though. Like, why wouldn't you have Daxton Hill ahead of Kyler Gordon? I would. and you look at the profiles, I think Hill, man. I don't think they're taking Cine. I don't think they're taking Raymond. So just so you guys know, maybe they do, right? You never know, but I would be surprised. Every mock draft I've done this far, Linderbaum never fell once. Yeah, the NFL is different, though. I'm telling you. I think he's going to fall. I think he's going to fall past the Bengals. Nakobe Dean, that would be a surprise. 5'11" linebacker. It could. He's got great tape. Would be surprised, though. No doubt about it. Daxton Hill. No, honestly, as far as these defensive players go, maybe Karlaftis is ahead of Hill, and that's fine, pass rusher. I have Daxton Hill right there. Right there. I think he's a freak. And, I like freaks. Someone just mentioned Kobe Bryant again. I think it makes sense at 95 if they haven't taken a corner. Kobe Bryant would make sense out of the University of Cincinnati. Man, people are on the Daniel Falele, huh? Daxton Hill has the flexibility to play corner and safety. So he can play nickel corner. He's got the size to play outside corner. I don't know if he could, but certainly has the versatility to play nickel. So anytime you need, Mike Hilton to get a breather, you could do that. And he can move all over the field and be that versatile third safety for you. And in long term, I think he could either play alongside Jesse Bates, potentially replace Jesse Bates if you need him to. He's that versatile. He's a fun chess piece to give Lou Anarumo for sure. Falele in the third. I see what you're saying. Kenyon Green. I would be surprised if they took Kenyon Green at 31. Maybe in round 2 if they traded down. Arnold Ebiketie is interesting for sure. Maybe not 31, but could they take him? And maybe they do take him 31, depending on who's there, because I think he would give their pass rush some instant juice. So wouldn't be a problem there. Kingsley Enagbare at 63 could certainly happen. Nakobe Dean feels like a Bengals pick. Does it? I mean, I don't know. I mean, does it? They have a bunch of linebackers under contract. So if you draft Dean, you're basically saying goodbye to Pratt for sure, which you might be okay with, but it would be quite interesting. Depth is Osai sample. Absolutely Hill over Gordon. Yeah, I agree. But I would have Hill over Andrew Booth Jr. I would have Hill over, I think him and Kaiir Elam are really close. The Bengals would take Elam. But I have Hill over Devonte Wyatt, which is going to be a take. I took him when I was on, and we posted this on Locked On Bengals, but when I was on with Daner and Morrison and everybody from The Athletic, and we did our media roundtable mock draft, I had the first pick, and I took Daxton Hill. Now, Karlaftis was gone. Linderbaum was gone. Some of those guys were gone. But I just think he's a freak. I think he'd make an instant impact, and I would take him over Devonte Wyatt because it's players, not positions. To me, Devonte Wyatt, not nearly as productive as Hill. So just something I'd throw out there.
I think we're ready to wrap, but I want to mention again tonight, there's a lot going on, as you know, but here at this channel, there's a lot going on. James is going to be sending me a lot of content to upload. So have notifications on. We'll be very selective about what you're going to be notified of, but check the channel frequently because there's going to be plenty of videos that aren't going to necessarily be notifying you.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, make sure notifications are on. Keep it locked here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. It's going to be a fun ass weekend. Yep. And we appreciate all of you for watching, for chiming in. Alec Pearson, round 3. If he's there, Percy, I'm with you. I don't think he's there because he's a freak. The dude can jump out of the gym and jump out of the building. During his workout, his top 30 visit with the Bengals, this dude jumped and touched the top of the goalpost. I can't confirm nor deny that's true, but might have done it. The top, not the top of the goalpost. I don't even know if Evan McPherson kicks it that high. So Alec Pierce probably not going to make it to round 3. That being said, we will do more lives. Maybe I'll make Andrew do this weekly with me or something. But this was a lot of fun. Also check out allbengals.com. I'm going to have a ton there, just quicker updates and stuff like that. But we're going to have a ton right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. So hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. For Andrew Fox Miller, who's on the video. Oh, he's that way. He's that way. Look at him right there on the video. He's on the video.
That's right.
I'm James Rapien saying goodbye for now right here on CBT Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Happy draft day, and we'll talk to you soon.